Yes.
What's her reason? She didn't give you any reason.
I had my friend call her. They had a discussion, and her reason was they should give her time to go and do the test. I mean, to go and give sample. That's the last I heard from her.
When was the last time you appeared in court?
That's December.
December till now. And she has not.
Yes, ma'am.
If she had turned up, I'm sure there'll be. The legal team would have minuted on your file.
Yes.
The last thing I still have here is the recommendation for the maternity test, which shall be read on the next hearing of the matter. And
Yes.
today is the next hearing.
Yes.
So if she's not cooperating, what does that mean to you?
I don't.
Because your background, the background of her story is like you're a couple that have a child together,
Yes.
and you came to court alleging that your genotype is AA and her genotype is AS, and you have a son
That is
with a
SS.
genotype of SS.
Yes, ma'am.
So you were challenging paternity of the only child of the marriage
Yes.
of the, and Justice Court conducted a test that revealed the child is yours, and she's not cooperating.
Yes, ma'am.
To have a maternity test as recommended. Where is she right now? Are you living together?
No.
Definitely.
We
When did you stop living together?
April last year.
April last year.
Yes, ma'am.
And she has not tried to reach you?
No.
Pertaining to the welfare of the child or anything?
No. Since after the DNA. That's when she stopped. As at one time, they even went to the police station that I wanted to be detained because of the matter. That's before the DNA.
Before you appeared there?
Yes. Let me just give you a brief story. She had a child. She was a single mother.
When you met her?
Yes. The child is 6 years when I met her. I took this boy as my son. This boy is in SS1. I was the one that trained him to that SS1. So when she had this child, it wasn't because of pregnancy that we got married. No, she had the child inside the marriage. That's 2 years into the marriage. That's when she had this SS child. So as at 2 years, we discovered the child was SS. She was blaming my mother. She was blaming everybody around me that they were the one that changed the blood of the child. I said, that's not possible. Every knowledgeable person, every educated person will know that that's impossible. But for some reason, for the trust, I let it span. This is 8 years of the marriage.
But how come you didn't state this in her presence that day when she was stating that?
That day, I wanted her to do. What I wanted that day was what you did, ma. Maternity test.
Okay.
That's what I was very diplomatic that day. I didn't want to fault her, but now it seems to me that it was a deliberate action. She did that on purpose that's
nothing wrong in treating an SS child when you know even that child is not yours, but you are doing it out of a service to humanity.
Yes.
Do you understand what I'm saying? So being an SS child is not a crime, but nobody wants to be an SS. It just turns that out from the parents or the parents' carelessness.
Yes.
Because there are things that can be evaded now. But by the time you say an AA and AS is coming out with SS, then I have to go back and consult a professor or a doctor to tell me about the outcome of their new research that can bring out that. And that's why it was referred for us to have a paternity test and have a DNA result on it.
Yes, ma'am.
But when I remembered, because that day she kept on insisting that she has never met any other man apart from you.
Yes, ma'am.
And that was why I thought of it that for the benefit of doubt, you are married.
Yes.
Let's take that doubt off the way.
Yes.
And I referred the matter for
Maternity.
the maternity test, the same way we had the paternity. I'm sure if she had cooperated, we'd just be reading out the maternity test.
Yes.
So I don't know why. Have you tried to reach out to her after you left this course?
No.
Why?
I didn't want to interfere. That was why I told my friend to reach out.
Did you call the legal team to find out
I
whether
went to Ministry of Justice in Ikeja.
No, I'm talking about the legal
Yes,
team
I
of
called.
Justice Court.
Yes, I called several.
And they kept telling you she had not come over.
Yes, that they have been calling her. She's not.
The defendant, Omowumi Moses, has not complied with the directive to conduct a maternity test. The plaintiff believes that his wife intentionally committed a paternity fraud. He said he will be suing for a divorce. After the break, Judge Fumi wraps this matter.
So, what kind of marriage did you conduct?
Legal.
Are you looking at reconciliation?
No.
Not at all.
I want to divorce.
None of our family members have gotten in touch with you. Nobody. Do you have any other thing to say?
No.
I wish you all the best.
Thank you.
I really.
All right.
Guys.
And
Look,
all of them,
all you need
all
to-
of them in Lagos,
Let me
all
tell
of
you,
them in Nigeria.
listen to me.
Nobody.
When I'm talking, you keep quiet.
An arrogant customer who is not ashamed.
Pastor Donald, why are you not picking my calls? Why haven't you paid the balance up till now? Telling the honorable court that I have not been calling him, I've not been picking his call. It's a fabricated fallacy. He did this just to debase me.
You are owing, and you are the one that is being arrogant at the same time.
A Nollywood veteran hoped to diversify into marine transportation.
Passenger boat I did not see. My money I did not see. I wanted to report him to Amadioha.
He was testing the boats. One thing do one thing, the boat sink with engine.
The husband does not like the responsibilities, but he likes all the pleasures a woman has to offer.
I still dey live with am now. First live person go one pikin.
How you go control?
The dispute is real, and the judgment is binding. This is the Justice Court.
Today on the Justice Court, the plaintiff, Ekene, is suing his former landlord for the refund of rent for the period he was not a resident in the house.
All rise. Court in session. Honorable Judge Fumi Asaolu presiding. Please be seated. The Honor, this case is between Ekene and Afolabi Tayo. You go with brother. That is one.
Thank you, Akin.
Welcome.
Ekene, can you tell me why you are here?
Good afternoon, ma'am. As of 2017, I rented an apartment, a single-room apartment in his compound. As at that period, he wasn't there. It was managed by his twin sisters. From 2017 to 2020, we spoke on phone through the sister because they said they wanted to have renovation to the compound. So I said, okay, there's no problem. So as at that time, I actually got to know him. We've been talking on phone. So he disclosed the plan as well to me. He now said, I'm going to receive a letter of quit notice together with the next neighbors. But if I'm willing to pay for a room and parlor, 2 single rooms, call it a room and parlor, that I should stay back. But I will also get the letter so that I don't disclose to other neighbors that I actually did not get the letter when distributed. So I noted. So along the line, my rent was about to due for that single room. So I put a call through to the sister whom I rapport with on phone. I said, my rent is about to due. Please, I want to make payment. He asked me to hold on, not to pay. That he needs to get back to the brother. So her response to me back on WhatsApp, she said, the brother asked me not to pay. I insisted. I said, no, I need to pay. That I don't want to have any inconveniences on rent. She said, okay, that she hold on. She still needs to get back to the brother. So her response back to me again, that's the sister. Her response back to me again was that, okay, since I insisted that if I want to make payments, that I can only pay for 6 months. I said, ma, you know I'm a yearly tenant payment. She said the reason why she asked me to pay for the 6 months was that before December, which the 6 months is going to expire, that they could have finished the plans, that's the renovations to the house. I said, okay. So I proceeded with the payments. I paid the sum of 30,000 naira to the sister's account. We started living. So from that period I paid in June to December. The 6 months expired in December. Nothing at all. No renovation. And the agreement for the new room and parlor, I have also credited the sum of 250,000 ahead of the room and parlor. That's when the agreement was reached. He actually splitted it. He said 775. I agreed. Agent and agreement, this, I agreed. So total sum was 250,000. I paid. From that December, when my money got expired, I didn't say anything. I was just looking. Let me know what the plan is going to be, because no renovation yet and everything just goes standstill. Okay. Suddenly, from that 6 months, 7 months, 8 months, 9 months, 10 months, till 2021. That 2021 now, they actually started renovation on some other parts of the building, some other parts of just like the backyard. I need to move. We agreed. I told him I need my funds refund back to me. He said, okay, no problem. That I'm going to have my fund by first week of March. I moved in February 10th. He said, first week of March, I'm going to have my fund refunded back to you. I said, okay, no problem. First week of March, I did not get my money. Before then, I told him, she said, okay, she'll get back to me. So I left. Not until I left the compound, no communication from the sister pertaining to what I told her about. I left, I moved my things away. Based on the cordial relationship we had, the discussion were all moving fine. He promised to refund my money first week of March. I didn't get my money. So the house was also taken out that February ending. I left February 10th. The house was taken February ending. So
other tenants?
Yes.
Moved in?
Yes, other tenant moved in. So to date, he has only paid me 35,000.
How much is outstanding?
215, right?
That's your case.
Yes, ma'am.
So what do you have to say to that?
Okay, my lord. Okay, 2020. It's been in our compound before then. My sister is the one actually in charge of that room. So when we were to begin renovation, I advised the lawyer to serve everyone notice. But of course, he's one person in the house who is more concerned about the well-being of every tenant. So I saw that, okay, this is one opportunity that I could also give to him. And I said to him that, okay, I don't know if you still want the room and parlor. He already discussed with me. And I said, okay, if you want the room and parlor, it's not a problem. But what we'll do is we'll serve everyone notice. I mean, that's the protocol. We'll serve everyone notice. Then, of course, since you've shown interest, we'll give you the condition. So he's in a room apartment, and we did some conversions in the house. So we changed the room to room and parlor, and the one at the back to room self-contained. There are plenty of course, renovations. So in 2021, when he's to make payments, I gave him the conditions that, okay, fine. Now the room and parlor for a year will go for 180,000. The agreement is 50,000. The commission is 50,000. Then there is caution fee of 20,000. Everything summed up to 300,000. But I discussed with my younger sisters, and I said, he's been a good tenant. There is something we can do for him. Let us waive the 50,000 and ask him to pay 250,000. So in March 2021, he transferred 230,000. At that period, we've not started the renovation. But from May that same year, we started renovation with the sliding windows for all the rooms. Then, of course, we move into some other parts, the conversions from room to room self-contained and the likes. So in 2022, this year, he didn't mention, of course, that he was going to leave. So when he said he was leaving, and I said, okay, now we're done with renovation. Now you're leaving. Hope all is well. So he made mention that, okay, fine, he already got another apartment that is closer to where they transferred him to. And I said, oh, okay, that's fine. If he leaves the room closed, of course, the rent will still be running up until when the period lapses. He moved out February 10th. We got a new tenant who moved in March. Yes. March ending, because of course they will still do small renovation and all of that. So, and I said to him that, okay, let's do the calculation. From 2021 that you stayed in the room to March, what we collected from you is a rent for a room and parlor. And you never stayed in the room and parlor. What we can do is to take what you've used from that January to March, which is 5,000 naira.
The old rate.
Yes.
The old rate.
The old rate. We'll take, you stayed in that room between January 2021 up until March that we got in a new tenant. We'll take the 5,000 naira.
Till the time he vacated the premises.
Okay, so the time he vacated, that's 5,000 naira.
He can't pay for period he didn't spend in the house.
Yes. So we calculated that and we took it out from the 100.
So till February, how much is that?
Till February, that's about 15 or 75,000.
Is that right?
It's 60,000 per year. And the room is talking about.
It's the same thing. He said 5,000 per month.
Okay, yes.
It's the same thing.
Yes. The next room, somebody is still there, even until I move out.
He's talking about your own. We are not talking about next door. What they are removing is they are not increasing your rent from your calculation now. It's still based on the 5,000 naira you were paying per month. Do you understand?
Yes.
So that's what they are using to calculate the deduction from the money you have paid. Do you understand me? Okay. And if that is to be so, how much will be your balance?
75,000.
So it's correct. Okay. Go ahead.
So, and when he was leaving, I told him, fine, we still have 1 or 2 renovations we're doing in the house. Whatever is due to you is 105,000 that is due. I'll split it. And of course, I'll pay it into your account. So I think...
Okay, you mean you pay by installments?
By installments.
Okay.
I got a call from an army somewhere around Air Force Base. And he said, I'm owing, blah, blah, blah. He came to complain. And I said, okay, this is what we'll do. The 105,000 I don't have now. But what I can do is to split it into 3. I'll pay 35 in June. In September, I'll
pay... Have you done that?
Yes, I have.
Okay.
And I said by September ending, I'll do another 30.
How much? 35 again.
Then by December, then I'll pay the balance 30,000.
Is that
So
the
that way
agreement?
we have.
I have only received 35,000, which he paid.
The second one, from what he said, you can only receive one in June. The next one should come in at the end of this month. September. That's what I have here.
The plaintiff, Ekene, vacated his rented apartment before the end of period he had paid for because he needed to relocate to another apartment close to his new place of work. He is in court to demand rent refund. He claims to be unaware of the fact that the defendant, Afolabi, already planned to refund the rent for the period he was not residing in the apartment.
I'm not just hearing this for the first time. What I have, so it's only the two of you that know the agreement. What agreement you had at the point you got somebody to intervene. So what agreement did you have then?
There was no agreement.
Because this is, okay, please, can you show this to me? This Afolabi.
Yes, please. Yes, madam.
Okay, let me even read it out to you. He said he agreed that he will pay the balance due to you in 3 installments. You've heard about that before?
He's just saying it now.
So how come he paid the first one in June, you received that? But you are not aware that you are supposed to be paid in September?
I'm not.
Okay. And December?
No.
Said he's hearing that for the first time. But that's your proposal right now?
Not now. The proposal had been to the
So that's the
officer.
way you started paying?
Yes.
So you are just to pay September and December?
Yes.
Is that okay by you? All right.
Judge Fumi helps both parties to reach amicable settlement. She rules after the break.
Now, you've paid 35,000 naira in June. And right now what you have left is 70,000 naira. So you pay another 35,000 naira by the end of September. Then by end of December 2022, you pay the balance of 35,000 naira. Judgment for the plaintiff.
All rise.
Have you been cheated or have a dispute and want justice? Don't take laws into your hands. Log on to www.thejusticecourt.com and submit your case.
Who has the right of way? Nigerian roads come with a lot of chaos. The chaos is caused by a combination of drivers, motorcycle and tricycle riders, pedestrians, and sellers who all claim the right of way. The chain of right of way holders in Nigeria is hierarchical, and car and motor drivers are at the top of the chain with pedestrians at the bottom. Car or motor drivers believe that they always have the right of way regardless, and motorcycle and tricycle riders don't even have any regard for who has the right of way. For fear of accidents and their lives, pedestrians have learned to cower. When a collision occurs, the question of who has the right of way is on the lip of all concerned as they try to figure out who is guilty. The law doesn't grant anyone the right of way, but you yield it to other road users under these circumstances. At a yield sign, to pedestrians in a crosswalk, to persons using a seeing eye guide dog, to persons using a white cane with or without a red tip, at T intersections where you must yield to vehicles on the through road, at uncontrolled intersections where vehicles are already in the intersection, when driving on an unpaved road that intersects with a paved road, when returning to the roadway after a car is parked. Pedestrians must always be yielded the right of way at intersections and crosswalks. Treat bicycles as motor vehicles. Yield to bicyclists in all situations where you would yield to a car. For example, wait for an oncoming bicycle to pass before turning left. Turn right at a red light if it's permitted and no vehicles are approaching. If you see a sign that says "No right turn on red," then you must wait for the light to turn green again. Otherwise, you must turn right at a red light after yielding to oncoming traffic. Stop for pedestrians who've begun crossing the road. Once a pedestrian has begun crossing the road, they have the right of way. You should also stop for pedestrians waiting to cross at crosswalks that aren't controlled by a traffic light. Yield to oncoming traffic if you're entering a main road.
Hello and welcome, I'm Manuel Olububukun and this is a news update. President Bola Ahmed Tinubu has urged Nigerians not to participate in the proposed August 4th to 10th, 2024 hardship protest due to the commencement of the student loan scheme, the 70,000 naira minimum wage and the establishment of the Consumer Credit Initiative. He stated that his government is reworking its social welfare scheme to reach vulnerable Nigerians at the grassroots level, providing allowances to the poor and vulnerable. The minimum wage has now been increased by more than 100%, and the Nigerian National Assembly passed the new Minimum Wage Act after Tinubu and the Nigerian workers agreed on the 70,000 naira minimum wage. The federal government has also begun disbursing funds to 110,000 successful beneficiaries of its 35 billion naira funded student loan scheme. Also, President Bola Tinubu has also dismissed concerns about manipulations by interest groups in Nigeria's ongoing economic reforms, stating that his campaign was self-sponsored and without strings. He emphasized the importance of a good conscience and a defense against corruption, emphasizing the future of Nigerians. Tinubu also emphasized the need to address the potential for protest fueled by anger and aid to degenerate into violence and set the country backwards. He emphasized the need to rework social welfare schemes, provide allowances to the poor and vulnerable, and also increase the minimum wage by over 100%. Traditional rulers called for calm over the planned nationwide protest against economic hardship, which is set to begin on August 4th, 2024. However, President Bola Tinubu, alongside former President Muhammadu Buhari and governors, have expressed condolences for the death of Chief Emmanuel Iwaya, with the President General of Ohanaeze Ndigbo government, friends and associates of the deceased, while the former President Buhari expressed his condolences to the Southeast. Governor Dapo Abiodun described his death as a profound loss to the nation. However, Abia State Governor Alex Oti has now expressed sadness over the death of Emmanuel Iwaya, the President General of Ohanaeze Ndigbo worldwide. Oti praised him as a patriot and lover of his people. Eze Linus into Mba, chairman of Abia State Council of Traditional Rulers, also expressed sadness over his death, stating that he was outspoken against the challenges facing Igbos in Nigeria and abroad. Also praised him for his efforts in capacity building, tackling unemployment among Igbo youth, creating jobs and providing educational opportunities. Mba also noted that he unified the Igbos in industrialization, stating that the Igbo nation had suffered a significant loss. Moving on, the Speaker of the House of Representatives, Right Honorable Tajuddin Abbas, has expressed Lam Adel Lamin statistics on crude oil theft, stating that between January and July 2024, the country lost an average of 437,000 barrels of crude oil per day due to theft, vandalism, and other criminal activities. This equates to over $10 billion in losses. Abbas is in talks with security agencies to tackle the menace, while Akume and Nnamdi cite the Nigeria Extractive Industries Transparency Initiative's 2020 oil and gas report.
At the current price of oil, this translates to over $10 billion over this period of 7 months. I wonder how a government that loses about $10 billion in 7 months will be expected to meet up with its responsibilities for the citizens. So when the people cry on the streets, it's because they have lost hope in the oil and gas sector. There is no magic this government can do without being energized by the core source of our revenue, which is the oil and gas sector, from where it is supposed to meet the obligations of his administration. No magic at all. So for those who are on the streets waiting for the President of the Federal Republic of Nigeria to do magic, he cannot do it from his pocket. He will do it from the national pocket. And the national pocket is bleeding. $10 billion, 7 months.
The government has invested considerable resources in combating this menace. Since 2020, expenditure aimed at addressing crude oil theft and securing our oil infrastructure has exceeded $1.5 billion. These funds have been allocated towards enhancing surveillance capabilities, securing pipelines, and increasing the presence of law enforcement agencies in critical oil-producing areas. Thus, the hearing marks a pivotal step in our concerted efforts to confront this issue head-on.
Honorable Al-Hassan Dogwal, chairman of the Special Committee on Crude Oil Theft and Losses, has identified inadequate firepower and weapons of engagement as the cause for violent losses, emphasizing the need for collective Nigerian efforts.
Our discussions with stakeholders today and those we have engaged before have revealed that oil theft is not only a significant revenue loss for the country, but also a threat to national security and regional stability. The theft is categorized into onshore losses involving sabotage of pipelines and installations for local markets, and offshore losses perpetrated by organized criminal syndicates for international buyers. Addressing this issue requires a multifaceted approach, including effective prosecution and punishment of perpetrators, better synergy amongst security agencies, maritime safety review, financial responsibility, and development of advanced technology.
This thing we are talking about is not rocket science. The people who are supporting this in this space are known. They are known by names, they are known by companies, they are known by account details. Let us not pretend to this matter. If we pretend to this matter, we will never solve the problem. I say collaborate with Nigerian Department of State Security Service. You will have every information, and I believe there's every information available for us to work to solve this problem and to stop this menace. We have to do it.
Last year, the Speaker, Tajuddin Abbas, formed a special committee to investigate Nigeria's oil theft and losses in the oil and gas sector. Now moving on, and in his update, the Department of State Services has issued a stern warning against the planned nationwide protest in the country. In a press statement, the agency's Director of Public Relations and Strategic Communications, Dr. Peter Ifunaya, revealed that they have already identified the sponsors of the proposed demonstration and have cautioned them not to proceed as it would not be in Nigeria's best interest. The security outfit claimed to have intelligence suggesting the protest could be hijacked by hoodlums. The statement further alleged that the organizers' true objective is to incite a regime change, particularly at the federal level. Now we're going on a quick commercial break, and when we return, the news continues. To stay with us.
Picture this. You're sitting at a table, ready to indulge in a mouth-watering meal. Stop. For many of us, it is hard to resist the temptation, especially when it comes to enjoying a juicy beef dish. But have you ever stopped to think about the impact of your food choices on the greater good? Our food choices have a great impact on others. The beef industry is one of the leading contributors to deforestation. As trees are cleared to make way for cattle ranching, it not only disrupts the delicate balance of ecosystems, but also contributes to climate change. We can make a difference with our choices. It does not mean we all have to become vegans overnight. Imagine enjoying fish and poultry a few times a week, indulging in beef just once a month, and filling our plates with plenty of plant-based goodness. Every little bit counts, and even small reductions in our intake can make a huge impact on the climate. By making smarter food choices, we're not only taking care of ourselves, but also the planet we call home. Remember, the choices we make today lead to a better tomorrow.
An African girl somewhere is sitting at home, accompanied by dreams that seem so far away. Africa is one of the continents with the highest out-of-school percentage in education, and girls are at an early disadvantage. The sub-Saharan Africa records about 18 million out-of-school girls. This gender gap extends to the tech space with a projection of only a 33% global female workforce representation in tech firms for 2022. Let us help change the stories and numbers. Africa Agility's Project Train a Girl campaign is working to help train African girls in tech. You can donate as little as $2 or 2,000 naira to help a girl in tech get her heels in the door. Visit www.africaagility.rallyup.com/PTAG to donate.
And now we move on to other parts of Africa. South Africa's Democratic Alliance, DA, has taken the African National Congress, ANC, to court over a pre-election speech given by President Cyril Ramaphosa. The DA argues that the speech was used for election campaigning and amounted to an abuse of office. The ANC responded by calling the DA's legal action frivolous and is unwarranted, and stating that Ramaphosa was following the constitution when he made the speech. Which is one of the 7 parties Ramaphosa's cabinet, is one of the 7 parties represented by Ramaphosa's cabinet. The coalition, referred to as a government of national unity, created a new political landscape for South Africa after the end of apartheid. In South Africa, former US President Barack Obama and his wife Michelle have endorsed Kamala Harris' bid for the presidency. In a private phone call, Obama expressed gratitude for the endorsement and their long friendship. Obama and Michelle praised Harris for her potential as a fantastic president and expressed their full support. Obama, the first US black president, remains a popular figure in the Democratic Party even after over a decade since his last election. Harris plans to name a running mate by August the 7th, as former President Donald J. Trump's advisors are committed to another debate, as the Democrats have changed candidates from President Biden to Vice President Harris. The endorsement comes as the Democrats have changed candidates from President Biden to the Vice President Harris. And straightway to business, the Nigeria Electricity Regulatory Commission (NERC) has reported that 23 workers lost their lives in 55 accidents in the first quarter of 2024. The report also revealed that 31 others sustained injuries in the 55 accidents. The major causes of casualties were wire snaps, illegal access, vandalism, unsafe act conditions, and falls from height. Eco Discus, Benin Discus, Just Discus, and Abba Power were the licenses with the highest number of casualties. Now, Discus accounted for 96.3% of casualties recorded in 2024, the first quarter. Continuing our trend observed in previous quarters, the report suggests the lack of safety procedures in the Nigerian electricity supply industry, as distribution segment is the biggest contributor to safety issues. And on to entertainment news, Burna Boy is bringing an African Giant album to life. The Grammy-winning superstar is celebrating the 5th anniversary of his iconic album with a special concert on Friday, July the 26th. YouTube Music Night will live stream a special performance, and fans worldwide can now tune in to Burna Boy's YouTube channel for this exclusive intimate event. As I said, one shouldn't miss a chance to see one of Africa's biggest stars perform live. Lastly, into sport news, Nigeria Super Falcons made their long-awaited return to Olympic football after a 16-year absence. Both their Paris 2024 campaign got off to a disappointing start with a 1-0 loss to Brazil in the opening match. The game's decisive moments came in the first half when Gabriela Nunes da Silva unleashed a ferocious strike that proved to be the only goal of the contest. A positive start by Randy Waldrum, women, which saw Chiwendu Iezo miss Nigeria's best chance of the game. The Super Falcons played second fiddle all through the counter after plenty of attacking intent. Nigeria had 3 big chances in quick succession, one of which was led by Rashidat Ajibade, I beg your pardon, Nigeria's best player, beating our marker before crossing for Iezo, whose header was saved by Brazil's goalkeeper. This defeat marks a challenging start for Randy Waldrum's side, who find themselves in our formidable Group C alongside reigning world champions Spain and Asian powerhouse Japan. And that's the much can take on the news updates. For more stories, please follow us on Facebook, X, and Instagram, and do subscribe to our YouTube channel, Plosive Africa and Plosive Africa Lifestyle. You can also view us from Limix on Limix.tv and Glow TV apps anywhere in the world. I am Emmanuel Olubobokun. Many thanks for watching.
I will take you through this amazingness today.
Welcome to Plus Trending. I am Buki November, your host, saying thank you for joining us on today's episode.
Welcome back. It's tea time on Plus TV Africa.
Practice makes perfect. I'm not perfect yet, but I'm a lot better than I used to be.
He's a king. He's entitled to marry 100 if he wants to.
Hello and welcome to VOA's Red Carpet. I am Sunday Shumari.
This week on the red carpet, we chat with guitarist John Collins, who left England, his home country, to move permanently in Ghana. The South Proteas, South Africa's men's national cricket team, are relaxing their quota system, much to the delight of their supporters. Those stories, plus it is fair to say that popular Mexican actor Eugenio Derbez has made it in Hollywood. MMA fighting is expanding its reach in Africa. The Professional Fighters League officially launched its Mixed Martial Arts African competition in Lagos in July, offering fighters the chance to win as much as $1 million. Ethiopian cyclist Binyam Girmay made history as the first black African rider to win Tour de France Stage 12, making it his third stage victory in this year's race. John Collins visited Ghana as a child with his father, but life brought him back years later, and the musician never left. VOA's Isaac Kaledzi met him in Accra, and Anthony Labruto narrates the story.
John Collins was already a musician in his British homeland when he moved and settled permanently in Ghana. But it wasn't his first trip to the African nation.
I came to Ghana as a child, not with any purpose, but then I came back to Ghana in 1969 to be with my dad, because my parents, my mum and dad had divorced, so I wanted to be with my father.
Today, he is a well-known figure in Ghana and West Africa, mainly for his work on popular and neo-traditional music, including highlife and Afrobeat.
I joined so many different bands, I formed so many bands. I went to Nigeria, I played with people like Victor Owaifu, and worked a lot with Fela Kuti, Anikulapo Kuti in Nigeria, worked with bands in Ghana, went on TV, I did so many things, but it was all a labor of love.
John Collins has also worked as a music journalist, writer, and historian. His academic publications on African popular and neo-traditional music are used in universities all over the world. But, he says, living in Ghana was not all that smooth for him.
Well, it's very tough, of course. I mean, I never in Britain experienced things like coups and curfews, shortages, and so on. Dumso, all these things.
Here, at the University of Ghana's music department, Collins helped structure a course in popular and traditional music and taught for many years. He inspired his former student, Eric Suno Do, to become a music lecturer in the department.
And what fascinated me about him was, like you're saying, that here is a foreigner, a white man, teaching us our music, whilst our people were teaching his kind of music. So I found that to be quite interesting, intriguing, and that is what drew me more closer to him.
Collins married a Ghanaian and has a son and a grandchild. He feels that it is the Ghanaian people who have made his stay in Africa memorable.
All I've been talking about is not about the climate, not about the food, the sunshine. Everything that's positive is ultimately people. It's people who create the world.
Collins has spent his career learning popular and traditional Ghanaian music and helped inspire young Ghanaian musicians like these ones who gather here at the University of Ghana every month to keep both genres alive. For Isaac Kaledzi in Accra, Ghana, this is Anthony Labruto, VOA News.
Popular Mexican actor Eugenio Derbez has made it in Hollywood. His bilingual comedy, Acapulco, on Apple TV is critically acclaimed and has put his work in front of new audiences. The show's star and producer spoke with Veronica Villafañe about his mission to create an authentic, family-friendly series that positively represents his home country.
It all started with a job at Las Colinas.
Bilingual comedy Acapulco, now in its third season, has become a global hit for Apple TV and its star.
Dad,
Mexican actor Eugenio Derbez, who is also the show's co-executive producer.
It was 1985.
Set against the backdrop of 1980's Acapulco.
Something fresh with your abuelitas, with anyone, and you're going to enjoy it.
What's up, Memo?
The series is about the importance of family, friendship, doing the right thing, and staying true to oneself. Its feel-good, nostalgic storyline resonates across cultures, says Acapulco co-creator and executive producer Austin Winsberg.
For himself,
For
himself and his family. The stories that we're telling are workplace stories, romance stories, underdog stories. These are things that I think anybody can relate to globally.
Derbez says he was troubled.
A historic moment in the country's cricketing history since joining the international cricket community. The Proteas, South Africa's men's national cricket team, decided to temporarily relax their quota system for the tournament held across the United States and West Indies, much to the delight of their supporters. In Johannesburg, South Africa, Zahir Kasim takes a look at how cricket is shifting from focus on race to one centered on merit.
On this cricket field, the pitch requires a swift roll. For Sean Noble, a seasoned groundsman at Johannesburg's Rivoli Cricket Club, this moment is significant. Noble, a cricket enthusiast for almost 2 decades, had hoped that the Proteas, South Africa's men's national cricket team, would win their first international trophy at the 2024-2020 World Cup tournament hosted in the West Indies and the United States.
This final means to me that it's very important to our country and that this is the first time that we're not going to choke in the final.
South Africa had a promising start but faltered against India in the final stages, causing the cricket team to miss out on the trophy. This tournament also marked a relaxation from the quota system that had been enforced over the past decade, which required at least half the squad to compromise players of colour to ensure inclusive representation post-apartheid. Ashwin Desai, the author of a book on cricket looking at post-apartheid South Africa, explains how the excellence of players of colour has led to the call to drop the quota system.
Constantly the quota or targets were being questioned and re-engineered. But I think there's a solid body of evidence that quotas could be anti-black. Why are they anti-black? Because originally when they came into being, it was to deal with white gatekeeping. But most of the cricket unions are run by black people. The selection committee is overwhelmingly black. And so the idea that there could be racial gatekeeping starts to lose its resonance.
Noble shares Desai's sentiments.
You select a person on merit, not on name, color, or creed.
But Noble is not the only person who feels this way. Emotions were mixed among fans at the Johannesburg fan park.
There was a lot of controversy around it at the beginning because there were more white players in the team, or not a lot of players of color, but I feel like we should just get our best people, especially for a World Cup. We should have our best people in the lineup.
Despite the national team fielding only 3 players of colour, one short of the mandated quota, some fans rallied behind the Proteas, advocating for a merit-based system.
So we would like to see better representation. However, at the same time, we want to see the South African national team best represented in terms of abilities and in terms of who can get the job done.
I think it's not fair at all because you are forced to bring people who are not competent. You are forced to take some people who are more competitive than others and drop them just because of this issue of race and all those things.
Many cricket experts and fans expect a return to the traditional quota system, which has been in place since 1999. However, the 2024-2020 World Cup highlighted a desire among fans for on-field results, no matter who achieves them. Zahir Kasim, VOA Africa, Johannesburg, South Africa.
Marjorie Goldberg is a wood sculptor and gallery owner in Washington, D.C., who has been heavily involved in the city's arts community for decades. She also runs a nonprofit that teaches D.C. residents woodworking skills. VOA's Jeff Swikod brings us the story.
My first sculpture class was in Rochester, New York, when I was 10 years old. It was at that moment that I knew who I was and what I was going to do. Art is it's kind of an expression of your soul, of your experiences. And I had been taking years of dance class before then, from the age of 4. So I really love dance and I really love sculpture. You know, I mean, what is sculpture but dance, you know, in a moment in time? When I came to Washington and GW, and it was really the revolution years, 68 to 72. I have always been a truth to power person. I have never been afraid to speak my mind loudly, where I got my nickname in college, which is Megaphone Margie. You know, I did art, I did dance. I was very interested in Eastern religion. I figured I'm going to spend my life in art, so I want a well-rounded degree. And your art is only as good as your life experiences. One of my clients was the National Association of Home Builders, and they put out a statistic that said within 5 years, 50% of all carpenters are going to be retiring. It is the most endangered trade in this country and in Europe. We wrote a grant to build a mobile wood shop.
If this is spinning this way.
And to train a new generation of carpenters.
Whoa, that's so good.
What we often do is teach young kids how to turn things on a lathe, which they just adore doing. But I just felt that most schools don't have wood shops anymore, and they need a trade. I mean, I know the percentage of kids that went to college from my high school, 98%. There isn't one school in the city that would even come close to that. Tonight there's classes here in our stationary wood shop. It was just something that I really had wanted to do and felt there was a need for the city. We really built something. Now we're helping a lot of students.
Thanks for watching VOA's Red Carpet. I'm your host, Sunday Shomari. For more on your entertainment news, check us out on voaafrica.com, on Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. Until next time, goodbye, everyone.
But worry for that. All rodents and reptiles who they disturb the die.
I'm a graduate of Political Science Social Studies from Adini Rogosaya College of Education. I graduated in the year 2020.
See, as of now, I'm looking for other jobs that I can match together to meet up with responsibility.
One time I remember trekking from Oriental Hotel to Eco Hotel, dropping my CVs at every place.
dropping my CVs at different restaurants, different bars, different hotels, just hoping for something.
Pius is a graduate of computer science, but he drives an Uber for a living in the city of Lagos. Although underemployed, Pius is considered a tad lucky because 41% of the labor population with bachelor's degrees are without employment.
I got several jobs. When I go for the interview, I'll pass it. They'll say I'm too young, they want an older chef. And then so things like that were very, very frustrating. They almost pushed me off the edge. I was almost at the brink of going to call my friends and be like, okay, let me learn this Yahoo thing. But I just decided to keep pushing. Then I heard about this Uber thing. I got my first car. I was driving for somebody. I was supposed to be paying the person 25k a week. But sometimes when I walk, the car was having so much issues. If I make maybe 20, 30k in a day, the car, I'll end up spending like 27,000, 25,000 on fuel. So I couldn't keep up. I had to go for another car to another car before I finally found this one. And this one I'm driving to own the car and I'm almost done with it.
Presently, 1 out of every 3 Nigerians that are able to work are unemployed. According to the National Bureau of Statistics, 23.2 million Nigerians are out of work. That is almost the entire population of Sierra Leone, Liberia, and Gambia combined. While Nigeria's youth population has increased much in the last 1.5 decades, the available economic opportunities are shrinking. Nigeria is facing an increasing youth bulge with over 123 million young citizens, but there are just not enough jobs for these youths.
From 2015 to date, I found myself jobless. Now presently I'm managing a job, electrical job, which I invested my money and went to go and acquire some skills, which is providing money for me now.
Instead of me searching for a job, my father just advised me, instead of you working somewhere, killing yourself, you know what the country is now, just go into this. And I thought of it, I started making research, then I started doing my father's business. And that was how I started selling ads. I sell ads here and there.
Up to date, if I see a job, I will work, but if the pay is meaningful, because now they can't give me a job that will be earning like 45,000 or 50,000, because now through my electrical job I'm doing now, I earn more than the salary I think they will offer me now.
The dire unemployment situation, which some believe is more severe than reported, has been made worse by the coronavirus pandemic, which has led to shutdown of businesses. The adverse effects of this rising unemployment rate in Nigeria are becoming enormous and far-reaching.
Where there is unemployment, there is psychological desperation in itself, the sense of not having somebody. Because if people cannot fend for themselves, they either engage in any kind of destructive criminal act. For these reasons, for these 3 reasons of psychology, sociology, and economic reasons, it is very important that we take the issue of unemployment very seriously.
When you are not able to meet your basic needs, when you that were able to put food on your table, you're now struggling, you that you were able to give somebody 5,000 naira, you're the one that is now begging 5,000 naira, it affects your sense of...
The rate of unemployment is high. Women are the worst hit. In stock terms, there are 30% more unemployed women than men. Women face barriers that men don't have to deal with.
So the woman who's at home and who's caring for the children, or who's the natural carer, would we say that that person is employed or not? I would dare say that they are employed. Now, we may have as high as 10%. Like I said, I think it's more. We may have a lot more women not employed in the formal structure as we know it, either within the corporate world or perhaps down the line of entrepreneurship. And there are very many different reasons and factors for that. But the starting point usually has to do with, the girl-child education, as we know, based on our culture and based on the long-standing statistics that we have that show that the girl child is not as educated. We don't take the same opportunities for the girl child as we've taken for the boy child due to cultural nuances. Traditionally, we believe that we should, educate the boys and not the girls. So Let's go further up the pipeline. You do have girls who on graduation start and compete as well as the boys in terms of their careers, in terms of paid employment, and we're seeing a lot more of them now in terms of entrepreneurship. However, what tends to happen over time is, again, they tend to drop out when it's time perhaps to have a family. So it's really down sometimes to the choices that are made. And what we must do to try and balance things out is make sure that the choices that are open to women are actually more. So what are those things making them drop out? What are, for example, the reasons why midway through your career, you have to make a choice to say, I need to focus on my home? What then can employers do to ensure that these women are given the opportunities? How can we expand the choices such that I can manage my home, manage my career, still look after my children? And sometimes it's very simple things like, do we have the facility for childcare?
Unemployment in Nigeria is not just about availability of jobs, but also about the education system producing the right type of manpower in the right quality and quantity to industrialize the country. State actors and stakeholders say many Nigerian youths are not employable because their skills are largely divorced from labor requirements.
I think, in my view, reviving our technical and vocational education and training systems, it's not optional. As a matter of fact, it's where we must go, pari passu, our other academic institutions like universities and co, such that you find that we have a lot more focus around disciplines, around trades, around disciplines, around specializations. We are in I'm in a room now, and I'm in your station, where journalism is a profession, right? But then there are also certain skill sets, whether it's graphics, whether it's creatives, that work very well with your industry. Now, not all of the skill sets that you need in this radio house require a university degree. So a lot of them can be honed, right from even maybe senior secondary or even post-secondary through different diploma programs and things like that. Now, that's what we must do in terms of our skilling process, so that you have what you call a multiple pathway to your aspiration in life.
Vocational training is the key, is the answer. Germany, all industrialized nations, they all depend on these skills training. They have a robust, developed infrastructure for skills training. And so we cannot, no economy, no country can really move forward without having a developed structure, a developed ecosystem, a developed environment to train people, to send people for internship, or to train people, intern people, and eventually create employment for people. Because eventually it is those people who are trained, it is those people who have gone through internship, it is those people who have become employable, who eventually becomes employers themselves.
But where are these vocational schools? There are just about 123 government-approved vocational schools across Nigeria. Aside this, there is also a certain stereotype that discourages students from enrolling in such schools.
The reason why some people don't like vocational work, depending on the area of specialization, you have to, when you want to work, you have to change your wares, and some don't like dirty work. Like me, I'm a plumber. People don't really know. Once I'm done in site and going home, people don't really believe that I'm a plumber, because maybe my stature or the way I look, so people don't really believe unless they see me while working on site.
So unfortunately, the number of people who are applying, to learn skill and all of that is still very low in number. And I actually understand why it is low in number. When you operate in an environment that glorifies certificate over skill, when you operate in an environment where the skilled workers are not properly paid, when you operate in that environment where there is no glory in having skilled work, of course, the youth will not be interested in that. But when you operate in a society that celebrates certification without adequate work and that do not pay people living wages for their skills, then of course there's going to be very low interest in that particular field of work.
In the absence of white-collar jobs, many youths have turned to the informal sector, earning a living with small businesses and creating employment also. Presently, these small businesses account for 96% of businesses and 84% of employment in the country. Despite the significant contribution of SMEs to the Nigerian economy, the sector is still struggling with growth.
For me, there are three things. The first one is infrastructure. Power, for example, access to markets. When you are an SME or a member of the informal sector, if you are producing something in small quantities, after you've paid your rent, you've bought your raw materials, you have your equipment, you of course have to supplement power because we don't have stable power in the country. So I think that's one of the major issues. Another issue is double tax or multiple taxation. A lot of businesses, there's no clarity on who they should be paying what taxes to. So, for example, I once worked with one of the mobility startups in Lagos in the bike-hailing space. And whilst we were, trying to speak with the LIRS, for example, about personal income tax or some basic tax from the drivers, we were obviously also having to deal with the unions, with their daily levies and all of that. So therefore, things like that will stifle businesses and informal sector players.
Although the informal sector may be having an influx of educated youth as players, there is also the snag of these graduates being majorly unequipped for entrepreneurship.
The world is moving from theoretical based learning to case-based learning, where you sit and you study case studies, you study practical lessons about scenarios, right, for business. I think it was Obasanjo, regime that tried to introduce entrepreneurship studies as one of the general GES courses or general studies courses. And, you look at the syllabus of that course, it's the same theoretical stuff, right? So there is nothing that prepares them properly for the challenges, for the realities, for the type of dynamics that they will be facing if they go out into the business world, right? If you look at the Igbo apprenticeship culture, it's an amazing learning point, because everything does not have to be all your learning, your education doesn't have to come from the classroom, right? It does not always have to come from the classroom. So I think if government was serious enough, right, I would expect that the SMEDAN, for example, should have put in some type of structural support for the Igbo apprenticeship model, so that we can replicate those models across various societies.
The government acknowledges there is a bulging youth population with overwhelming unemployment figures. They, however, also insist they are addressing the problem.
The government has been consciously and in a deliberate manner trying to address the issue of the youth bulge. It's not just about the numbers. It's also about what are the needs of the variegated strata of the youth population. First, education is key, because education is power. Education is the greatest weapon against poverty. So the government has committed so much into education. There's emphasis on technical and vocational education, on the skills that you have.
Nigeria has not lacked special intervention programs. There are many of them. Yet, there are many unemployed youths, as these intervention programs have failed in dropping the increasing unemployment rates. Critics argue that these programs are unimpressive.
For the intervention, or rather the interventions of the government, I'm going to score them high on intention, and I'm going to score them low on performance or on result. High on intention because the act of rolling out a lot of intervention schemes, like the NPower, You Win, and the various ones, including trader money, all to activate employment, shows that there are people thinking, there are people of good intention out there. But the method to which they've approached it and the results they're getting makes me score them low on it, because in 2021, it is not the role of government to be creating jobs for people or to be doling out money for individuals to grow their businesses. What the government needs to do are three, really, is to overall create an environment that allows employment to be created. Who create employment is businesses. So the government needs to create an environment that allows business to thrive and create employment, and thus doing, fight unemployment.
Government will tell you, BOI, CBN, all of these guys, they'll tell you that we are providing interventions for MSMEs. So we have this 10 billion, we have this 100 billion for MSMEs. And then they will give you the guidelines. And then in the guidelines, you will see that they need you to be registered with CAC, they need you to have a bank account, they need you to have a business plan, they need you to have a financial statement. Look, that already by design excludes majority of those in the MSME space.
To bridge its unemployment gap, experts say Nigeria will have to create 5 million jobs annually for the next 10 years. Is the Nigerian government ready to tackle this problem? If Nigeria is to turn its large youth population into an advantage, then Nigeria has to rapidly reduce the disastrously high rates of youth unemployment.
You see, luckily and unluckily for us, we are an underdeveloped country. And most of what we have, what we need, we don't have enough of them. We don't have enough schools. We don't have enough hospitals. We don't have enough, almost anything. I can't think of anything that we have enough of. That problem of scarcity of assets should become the solution to our problem, in the sense that we should just sit down and try to create what we lack. To create what we lack, we need to think of what is needed. Why is it that we're not producing, and why is it that we're not consuming what we produce? Why is it that there is no urge to produce? Why are we having more pastors and politicians than manufacturers? If we want to boost Made in Nigeria, for example, I think we need to sit down and say, the first thing we need to do is perhaps create 5,000 production managers as a pilot scheme across the country, so that each one of them will go to different areas and specialize in one sort of production or the other. I repeat, I'm insisting on production, knowing fully well that where there is production, accountants will be needed, photographers will be needed, salespeople will be needed. The core of progress since the Industrial Revolution lies in production.
They really need to go fast because boys are not smiling, and then it can lead to early bloodshed. Early bloodshed in the sense that there will be serious competition. Boys know they smile again. Boys are willing to get their hands on anything just for this bar. And the government, if they are this slow, they will not be able to withstand what will come.
Child protection is an ancient, long-standing problem which has gained the attention of the international, national, state, and local communities, with governments, international donor agencies on the forefront of a high-profile commission to eradicate it. The unique dynamics of child sexual abuse is such that it's often committed in secrecy with only the victim and the perpetrator as witnesses. And it's a crime that is very difficult to detect. And it takes a long time before the abusers, before the crime is revealed. And the grooming strategies of the pedophiles include, number one, engagement of the child, overcoming the child's resistance, inculcating secrecy into the child, intimidating the child, suppressing the child to maintain control over the child. There are 5 key steps you need to know as an adult, as an educator, to be able to provide child protection to any child within your vicinity. Number one, you need to learn the facts. Child sexual abuse can be contactual or non-contactual. It can involve actual defilement. It can involve exhibitionism, touching a child inappropriately, or exposing the child to pornography. And you need to know the different ways children disclose. They can disclose to you directly if they trust you, but even in that, they may not give you the full details. Then there could be, you need to monitor their internet spaces. You need to know about digital empathy as an educator. A child may be innocently browsing to do the homework, and the pornographic site may drop in, and the child will be ashamed to seek for help, which may traumatize the child. Then you need to know children's digital footprint. You may give your child a name and get another name online, on Facebook, TikTok, on Instagram. Then you need to know how to talk about a sex education. You don't wait for a child to be grown. From age 2, you tell the children about their private parts. Call it the way it is. Tell the boy, this is your penis. Tell the girl, this is your vagina. Don't call it wee-wee bum-bum. Don't give it names, because a lot of children will be taking advantage of. And then you know these pedophiles, they crack risky jokes and say, my wife, they dabble into favoritism. They can be treating the child as an adult. Then you need to reduce the opportunity for it to occur. You need to learn the signs. There are short-time signs like bruises, wounds, rashes in the mouth and the genital areas. You see teenage pregnancy, unwanted pregnancy. You see sexually transmitted infection. But the long-term consequences that schools of thought have adverse childhood experiences is what is affecting the nation as a whole. It's the children that have been abused that did not receive help, that are in conflict with themselves, with the society. You see suicidal addiction, you see depression, you see poor interpersonal relationship skills, poor academic performance, occupational failures, compulsive eating disorders, hormonal imbalance, infertility. You see depression, post-traumatic stress disorders. And above all, you need to know how to react responsibly. If a child confides in you, you don't react vehemently. You don't go and confront the perpetrator. Otherwise, you'll contaminate evidence or endanger yourself. You need to know about the Lagos State Government Witness Protection Policy. You need to instill confidence in the child. Tell the child, thank you for telling me. Psychological first aid. I'm sorry this happened to you, but I need to help you. And you don't ever promise a child, I will not tell anybody. But you need to tell the child, number one, we need to get you medical attention for medical treatment and evaluation. And number 2, you need psychosocial support because you are traumatized and none of any families are traumatized. And then we need to inform law enforcement, the police, because pedophiles are criminals. Their security risks, they need to be taken off the streets. They will not pose dangers to other children. Access to justice is part of the healing therapy. And if both parents are not able to support the child, let the child know you need shelter services, safety plans. You need to be relocated from the offending environment to regain your sense of safety. We have the very first children's telecommunication number, 0800 801, through which children can call to receive professional counseling, information, care, emergency intervention, and referral pathways. The Lagos State Government is committed to ensuring child protection. We have the Quality Assurance Department of Ministry of Education. If it happens in school, we have the Ministry of Youth and Social Development, who are interested in the welfare of the children for placement in shelters and orphanages. We have the prosecutorial unit, the Office of the Director of Public Prosecution. We have the Domestic and Sexual Violence Agency, with a formidable interagency collaboration among all the agencies. Our belief is that adults are responsible for protecting children, not children protecting themselves. Children cannot protect themselves because of their cognitive and vulnerability. And there's no way a child can give his or her consent to sex. And there should be no shaming and blaming. Parents who don't have time to listen or to take care of their children are guilty of child neglect, which is an offense, and it opens the door for pedophiles because there are no benchmarks or indices to identify a pedophile. Pedophiles' strategies include earning the trust and respect of parents. If a child is hungry, they offer food. If a child is lonely, they offer companionship. They are like the wild animals in the safari who will study the children to look for a loophole in that life of that children, feed that loophole to maintain control over the child. Some even blame the child, it's your fault. It can never be a child's fault. And a child is anyone under 18 years of age. It doesn't matter if she's already in the university or she's big or whatever. Every child needs protection. Every child is important. Not just our biological children, not just our children, even our domestic staff. They need to be protected. Defilement is life imprisonment, sexual assault by penetration. It's about 7 years. We have a range. Touching appropriately, we have 1 year, 3 years, depending on the offense that can be established. But the rock bottom is that child sexual abuse is unacceptable and it is preventable. No longer should we allow perpetrators to go on with impunity. And no single agency can do it alone. We need interagency collaboration, the support of community-based organizations, religious and traditional rulers, all to ensure child protection.
Local government financial autonomy. Makinde sets a committee to review Supreme Court judgment. As a former governor of Ekiti State, Fayose says autonomy won't work. I am Bola Oba. Fits is plus politics. Local government financial autonomy, Supreme Court judgment. Oyo State Governor Seyi Makinde has constituted a special technical and legal committee to review the recent Supreme Court judgment on local government financial autonomy. Governor Seyi Makinde had, before the closed door meeting, berated the Supreme Court judgment and strategies by the federal government to usurp undue authority over the state and local government administration, thereby causing tension within the nation's polity rather than focusing on other germane issues affecting the nation's economy. Similarly, Ayodele Fayose, former governor of Ekiti State, says the Supreme Court verdict granting financial autonomy to the 7 rest of the 4 local government areas could prove impracticable. Fayose said that even though he does not subscribe to the state governors taking the funds of local governments, it is difficult to separate both tiers. He said that the House of Assembly of every state controls the activities and checks the activities of the local government. Last week, the Apex Court ruled that the federal government should henceforth pay allocations directly to local governments.
I believe a lacuna has been created between that Supreme Court decision and the Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria. We all swore, I swore to uphold the Constitution, but the law is the law. If the law says, if the law is in conflict, it behoves on us to look for our own homegrown solution that will ensure that we have transparency, we can operate, and our people, because when two elephants are fighting, the grass will suffer. Your state will get out of this even stronger. We are people that we know what is good for our people. We can run our own affairs. The federal government is not superior constitutionally to the state government. Well, they have more resources than the states. I believe a lacuna has been created.
Meeting today was to discuss what happens to Oyo State government, to the welfare of the people, to the development of the people going forward. And committees have been set up, like I said. They have between 4 to 6 weeks to look into all the issues that may arise, because the judgment will not drive itself at the local levels. The judgment will not, deliver development by itself. People will still be involved. And that is what the meeting of today was all about.
Joining us to look at things is the lawyer and public affairs analyst, Tunde Kolawole. Also joining us is the House Leader of Councillors at the Onigbogbo LCDA, Honorable Kayode Opayemi, and a lawyer and public affairs analyst, General Dokole. Gentlemen, welcome to Plus Politics.
You're welcome.
You're welcome. Thank you.
Honorable Opayemi, let me start with you.
Yes, sir.
You are in a peculiar situation. Number one, you are an elected councillor, but the contraption, the local governance institution where you function is a stranger to the Nigerian Constitution. So you cannot be a beneficiary, either directly or by proxy of this judgment credit to the third tier of government. Well, what would be your response to that?
Number one, I want to disagree with you that we are strangers because we are LCD. If I would understand where you are coming from, where you're going to. Reason why is that we should remember that the Supreme Court judgment created reasons, the elements of necessity that brought about the creation of the LCDAs. If you go back to the history, when our president was our governor, he decided to expand the local councils to 57, and the then President Obasanjo, took it up as an issue. And eventually, they had to go to the court, and the Supreme Court judgment gave a ruling that the state has the power to create local government, but the process was incoherent. If you remember that statement, incoherent.
The process was incoherent.
Incoherent, yeah, thank you. It was incoherent, and by what it means is that it is not complete. It has not followed, it has not completed this process. And by so doing, that they can eventually, those 37 local government created out of the 20 can be made to be local council development areas. And in that wise, I think it was also given that the 20 local government could have the funds, but don't forget, sir, that the LCDAs are also part of those 20 local governments. They were formed from a local government, so we are not strangers, not in any way. We are still in existence, and don't forget now, what I want to put into it is a process that has been run for 21 good years successfully, that has been operating even better than some existing local governments from other states that have conducted elections in those local governments for more than some local governments that are existing in the constitution cannot be called strangers. Thank you.
Okay, I want to believe that with your very articulate line of defense, maybe I should withdraw the word stranger and say at best, LCDAs, as they function in Lagos and other states of the Federation, are acquaintances to the Constitution as a result of the pronouncement of the Supreme Court on the litigation by the then Lagos State government on the creation of local council development authorities as an inchoate entity as pronounced by the Supreme Court. Okay, let me go to Barrister Okolie. Barrister Okolie, are you there?
I'm here, I can hear you.
Fantastic. Barrister Okolie, the Supreme Court, from the responses of the governor of Oyo State and the former governor of Ekiti State, may have pushed itself into a cul-de-sac that is generally taught against in law schools. That courts must be very careful not to make pronouncements that may ultimately end up being academic. Because we are at a point now where it does seem, from the responses of former Governor Fayose and Makinde, and which may be the sentiments of many governors that are not talking out now, realpolitik would or may end up making the pronouncement or the ruling of the Supreme Court quite academic, and the governors may ultimately still just find a way around what the Supreme Court is trying to achieve. Your response, sir?
The law is dynamic. Current ground norm of Nigeria is the 1999 Constitution as amended severally over time. In practice, we've not been practicing the LCDA form of governance. It's a new contraption that governors brought up. It started from the current president when he was a governor. And we've always had local government system where funds are paid directly to the local government chairman. I think the finance minister then, Dr. Okonjo-Iweala, used to post on national dailies funds that were paid to each of the 774 local governments in Nigeria. And if you go back to the 1999 Constitution, it recognizes only the local governments. It does not recognize LCDAs. So I don't think that what the Supreme Court did was, by their ruling, was an academic exercise. It's something that has been practiced over time.
I think, sir, you may not have understood my question very well. My question fundamentally centers around the fact that even if the fund coming from the Federation account goes directly to the local government councils, as you have rightly explained that at some point, the former Minister of Finance used to publish funds going to those local government councils. I am saying that given the response of Governor Makinde, the local government chairman may be hounded to give the funds to the governor or spend the funds as directed by the governor, because as Governor Fayose stated, realpolitik says that those governors are holding their offices at the mercy at the mercy of their governors. Those local government chairmen are holding their offices at the mercy of the local government chairman. I'll come back to you, Barrister Okolie. I have another lawyer, Barrister Kolawole. What would be your response, Barrister Kolawole, to that? Hello?
Hello, am I audible?
Is Barrister Kolawole still there? Okay. Barrister Okolie, you may want to have a go at that.
Okay. In continuation to what I was saying, because I wanted to arrive at that, I wanted to first of all say that what the Supreme Court decided is not an academic exercise. It's something that has been practiced over time, and you can still go back to it. Now, coming to the governors, after having the local government chairmen exercising their powers and existence at the mercy of the governors. Why it's like that is because we don't have a good election system for the local governments. You see a situation whereby elections are conducted for local government and the party in power in that state sweeps all the posts from councillor to all the chairmen. So this is a good step in the right direction, but more effort should be placed to ensure that there is full local government autonomy. That is to say, ensuring that elections that usher in the local government chairman and the councillors are free, credible, and trusted. That way, development can get to the grassroots. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Barrister Okolie. Is Kolawole there now?
Yes, I'm here.
Okay, let me go back to Honorable Opayemi. Honorable Opayemi.
Let me start. I'm here. I'm all here. Let's start from the point of view that it is shocking to me that the federal government took that kind of a case to Supreme Court for education. I say this in all sense of responsibility. Because the people who are serving the responsibility of the federal government today have either have once been governors of the state, they have either been senators, or they have either also been local government to examine themselves and others. And you find out that when they were governors and what have they, all the issues that are associated with the management of the resources of the local government today, the structures of the local government today, elections or democracy at the grassroots level, at the local government level and all that, began from under their domain. So what has led to the change of heart today, I really don't know. And as we say in law, whoever goes to equity go with a clean hand. It doesn't appear to me that those who took this case to court have a clean hand in respect of this matter. That is my first point of departure. The second one is that when you look at the decision of the Supreme Court and all that, it would appear to me just like one of the contributors have said, to be born out of the doctrine of necessity. The Supreme Court does not want the local government to start off the way it is going. Because if the local government is not protected, the rapacious manner in which the governors are managing those local governments would eventually lead to threat of the local government. And whereas you and I should know that the local government have more responsibilities under them than even the state government, than even the federal government and all that. So when you look at chapter 1, part 2 of the Constitution, I think under section 7 there, you will see that what the Supreme Court has simply tried to do is to protect the local government from withering out.
Especially on the side of the councillors. I know of like 20, let me say 10 or more councillors that are from various parties. Accord, we have councillors that are from Accord party. We have councillors that are from PDP. We even have a councillor that I know that is from HELP in this Lagos state, which shows that Lagos state election has been
relatively, let me use the word relatively, fair to a great extent. Now, if we are now talking about the local government election, and we want to assert our independence, see, your sovereignty is what you are giving to me as an elected person. How many people within our citizenry they live in the local government? We have nostalgia at the local government election level, whereby people don't come out to vote. Those places where people came out to vote, they were able to elect the people of their choice. I can tell you of that of Agege. I can tell you of that of Mainland. I can tell you of that of Odiulowo. You can go and testify. So when we are coming to make assertions, we should be able to be empirical about it. Now, going to the state independent electoral commissions, just like my learned fellow stated, there's not, when it comes to constitutionality, it can never be academical. Don't forget that in the Nigerian constitution, the creation of state electoral commission exists very, very prominently in our constitution. So if at all we want to even go about that, we have to go to the National Assembly, whereby the constitution will be amended, and maybe that article will be taken over and be given, and then INEC will be given the power to conduct the election. But it is not as we are saying that if INEC should conduct election, then there will be this El Dorado in the way we conduct election. It is not so. It is about the people who have the nostalgia at local government level to vote. It is about every one of us that are participating. It is about the desperation of some people who feel that under most, their party must have the total control of the state. You see, the institutions are there. The players in the institution, how well, as in how sincere are they to us? How sincere are they? The players and everybody that are there, how sincere, how committed are we? These are issues that we should be talking about. Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you very much, Honorable Okwayemi. I want to believe that you too would understand that Lagos may be a bit of an aberration from what prevails across the country. Local council elections have just been held in Adamawa. Local council elections have just been held in one other state of the Federation, and the ruling parties in those states carried all the elected offices, including all the councillorship positions. I am not gainsaying your submission about Lagos, but even in Lagos, the ruling party controls the 57 local government and local council chairmen. Am I right about that, sir?
You are right, but I can answer you if you give me the opportunity to say something about that.
Go ahead, please.
Yeah. So, sir, winning election is about putting structures down. Lagos State will always have its ways of winning local government election, because many of the parties that are in Lagos State, they only wait every 4 years to come and conduct, participate in presidential elections, senatorial elections, House of Rep election, House of Assembly, and governor election. Once that is won, they go back and then they go and sleep. Even most of these parties that we are talking about, that they won elections, many of the people who won the election were people who were aggrieved in our party, who had to use those parties as a platform to contest for elections so that they can win, and eventually they did. So the chairman winning election is about the structure that is on ground. If you don't have structure in which you are going to use in winning election, and you just wake up tomorrow and you say you want to win election, it might not be possible.
Okay, Barrister Okoli, we are coming back to we are coming back to my first poster to you now. Realpolitik, as explained by Honorable Opayemi, who is a practitioner of the trade, speaks to the fact that as good as the intention of the justices of the law lords, the justices of the Supreme Court may be, at the end of the day, is a function of the point that you made so articulately. That's, how elections conducted by the state independent electoral commissions are somewhat relatively warped when juxtaposed with elections conducted by INEC. Two, your colleague, the Honorable, has also just accentuated the fact that structure, and when politicians use the word structure, they are basically talking about the enormous resources that seem always to be at the advantage of the ruling party, where the governor is the bankroller. So this pronouncement of the Supreme Court, in view of all these realities, what does it amount to? If you want to give us any form of enlightenment from your position and as a minister, as a minister in the Court of Justice, especially the Supreme Court, any form of enlightenment from you?
Okay. First, it's like I said before, it's a step in the right direction, but it's not the whole step. There are more steps to getting it right. And what do we do? First of all, we have to get our election system to be very okay. Our election, even the ones for National Assembly, even the ones for state houses of assembly, even the ones for governorship and presidential, we've not gotten them right. And it will trickle down to the local government elections. What am I trying to say? When people are done with voting for these elections, like I said before, there is a sense of disillusionment that affects them when it comes to coming out to vote for the local government council elections. And this peters off and extends to how people view the local government councils. In fact, as a matter of fact, where I live in Abuja, most often than not, we don't even feel the impact of the local governments. So it shows that for people to understand and appreciate the local government system, a lot of our institutions have to be strengthened. And what am I trying to say? The institutions that are used for elections, we are talking about the electoral commissions, we are talking about the security agencies, that is the police, the military, and the paramilitary agencies. We are talking about the individuals, those who are caught messing up with the electoral system are supposed to be punished adequately. It will serve as a deterrent. So when people know that their votes will count and their votes are actually counting, they will participate more in local government council elections, and they will hold their councillors and their chairmen. They will hold them more responsible than they will even hold their governors, because these people, these chairmen, these councillors are people that they can see on a regular basis. They attend the same church, they sit down in the same area, in fact, they possibly read at the same newspaper stands. So when you see that you can feel, you know your councillor, you know your chairman, and you can feel what they are doing, then you can give them feedback on how to get things right. And this is how development will trickle down to the average Nigerian. Thank you.
I still tend to hear you speaking to the idealism of the Constitution, how it ought to be. And for me, you seem to be deliberately speaking about the reality of what prevails. I guess maybe because you live in Abuja, because relatively in Abuja, INEC conducts local government elections in Abuja. That's number one. Number two is that Abuja does not have a peculiar political phenomenon akin to the governors at the level of the states. And most times, we have also discovered historically that the opposition parties tend to often win the local government elections in Abuja. But that's not what usually prevails at the level of the state. So I'm sitting here, sir, Barrister Okoli, this is for you again, thinking you may not be addressing the realities that instructed the litigation by the incumbent Attorney General to seek for the pronouncement of the laws on the autonomy, on the financial autonomy of local governments. Am I right, or do you disagree with me?
The financial autonomy of the local governments have been hampered a lot by governors. But I want to go back to what you said about living in Abuja. Abuja, to an extent, is how politics should be played. You hardly see a high level of political bleeding edge, clashes and all that. Not because there are no humans in Abuja, but because there is a high level of security presence. Now, coming to the financial autonomy that you talked in your last question. First, if a governor, being the leader of a state, determines who contests what and when, there will be a lot of patronage when it comes to handing over the coffers of the local government to him, in order to ensure that at the end of the election cycle, the person is still in good books of the governor for future recommendation to other offices. But when we get our elections right, when we don't need to get blessings from personalities, from principalities, it will go a long way in ensuring that our local government system works. And as Nigerians, we really need our local government system to work, because the local government systems are the drivers of development. There is no country that is developed that their local government system, be it county or whatever terminology is called, it's not, those systems are not working. You may say that it's a bit of idealism, but before things got worse to this level, I know for a fact, because I lived in Imo State during that time, I know for a fact that local government elections were better contested, better handled than they are being handled now. It's just an erosion of values in our institutions that is making the local government elections to look like a bile, where the ruling party has been granted by to determine who gets what and all that. You see an election having 90% return in favor of the ruling party, no matter how bad the party must have fared at the state level, they are still accepted. And when you talk about structure, finally, when you talk about structure, structure can be good or bad. Where people are being attacked when they go for rallies and all that, all in the name of you don't have structure or you don't have backup and whatever terminology is used, it deters the good people from coming into politics. So structure, like is being said, can be a structure of criminality, can be a structure of fomenting trouble or creating an arrest that will scare people away. And scaring people away from the political process is a form of rigging, is a form of electoral malpractice. And we need to arrest all these malpractices in order to move forward as a society. Thank you.
Honorable Okwayemi, are you still there, sir?
Very well, very well.
With a degree of humility from my side, I want to submit to you, I want to humbly submit that Lagos is the perfect example of Lagos is the perfect example that speaks to the vacuity, the academic nature of the pronouncement of the Supreme Court. Why am I saying that? There are only 20 constitutionally recognized local government authorities in Lagos. And yet, realpolitik-wise, empirically and practically, there are 57 contraptions reflective of local governance in Lagos. And within the context of the reality in Lagos, even if funds were to come from the federation account to the 20 constitutionally recognized LGAs, the chairman of those LGA cannot afford to want to assert holding to them because there must be a peculiar arrangement for those funds to be shared by the LCDAs that were birthed from the 20. And here we are talking about financial autonomy when no local government chairman in a peculiar scenario like Lagos, like Osun, like some other states where LCDAs have been created, dare ever say they want to hold on to any fund coming directly from the federation account to the purse of the local government authority if they want to still be in politics. Honorable Opayemi, as a Lagos politician, an elected officer of a local government entity, how would you respond to that?
First and foremost, I want to ask you, sir, as you have said, that 20 local governments are recognized within the in the constitution. Are you telling me that the areas within the 37 LCDs are not anywhere in the map of Nigeria? Or are they not part? Sorry, I'm coming bit by bit. Are they not part of those 20 local governments in their various areas of demarcations?
Honorable Opayemi?
Yes, sir.
Do we or can we agree that when the funds are emanating, when the funds are coming from the federation account, going to Lagos for under the heading of local government funds, they will only go to 20 entities? Do we agree on that?
I'm not going to speak to that because I'm not the Attorney General of Lagos State. So I have limitations to where I can answer questions. Being a public servant, so I won't be able to answer that on here. But what I know is this: one, don't forget that the Supreme Court, by its judgment made far back in 2005, recognizes that there are 37 LCDs in Lagos State. And it is still the same Supreme Court that has given a judgment that, okay, go and pay money directly to the local governments. Now, I know lawyers when they want to play with words. The issue of whether an LCDA or a local government should be part of the payment has not arose at all. People are the ones bringing it up for public discussion and things like that. So it is now meant for the people who are professionals in the learned field to take it up and ask of, okay, what implication does it have to do with what is on ground? But we must understand one thing. There's no reason why we should paint something that is black, then we paint it purple. The LCDAs that we are talking about has been in existence as part of those 20 local governments, they deserve rights to enjoy from those allocations in any way, in any form, because they are part of the development. And also, I still maintain my ground that a process that has been successful, even more than the existing local governments that you are talking about, that has been successful, that has been existing, that has been functioning in every way in which a Nigerian local government should perform, should not be jettisoned in any manner or in any form. What we should be talking about moving forward now is how those 37 local governments, if you want to talk about it, when many states created the LCDs and General Obasanjo came out that he's not going to accept it. It was only Lagos State that stood its ground. And today, the story is a success story. I can tell you as a councillor, just to go back to what my brother talked about, it is not every local government that you don't feel the impact. For example, I can boast of what I have done in my own ward. I can tell you of projects that I have done. I can tell you of what our governor, Sanwo-Olu, has made all the councillors in the 57 local governments to go and do in their various wards as ward projects. I can tell you rhetorically that there is an instruction given by the Speaker of Lagos State that every year a councillor must have 2 ward projects being done at their various wards. These are impacts.
Okay, Honorable Okwayemi, I can really empathize with you because in many respects, you are speaking to an idealism of what should be, which in a peculiar way you believe is happening in Lagos. But I can also authoritatively tell you that when funds are leaving the Federation account coming to Lagos, only 20 local government authorities are recognized. I know that because of the peculiar nature of Lagos, having all the 57 chairmen belonging to a particular party, the understanding to distribute the money in such a way that it speaks to equity amongst the LGAs and the LCDAs is a fantastic contraption. As a Lagosian myself, I am happy as a Lagosian who also believes that Lagos ought to have gotten more than 20 LGAs, and indeed there should be a mechanism that should recognize the LDAs. I feel you, but my brother, reality is reality. When those funds are leaving Federation account, they are coming just to 20 designated addresses.
I agree with you.
That takes me to the barrister now. I'll come back to you. We still have an opportunity. Barrister Okoye. Now, just like I had earlier stated to you that we may be speaking to idealism at the expense of reality, I need to take in another direction now. Governor Makinde is of the opinion that we have an aberrative federalism or an aberrative federation. That in all the federations that he knows, there are only 2 entities, central and federating units. That the situation in Nigeria is peculiar and that it is robbing the states the benefit of effectively administering its territory. That the local government, that the federal government is becoming a meddlesome interloper in how the states govern themselves, wanting to use the local government authorities as a disruptive force when ordinarily the federal government should be facing the challenges of righting all the enormous wrongs of the economy. What will be your response to that from Governor Makinde?
Respectfully, I disagree with the governor on these grounds. First, the economy cannot move further if we don't get our governance right. And our governance starts from the local government system. First, public health care centers are supposed to be the sole preserve of local governments.
You mean primary health care centers, PSCs?
Yes.
Yes, I
And
agree with you.
a lot of them are not functioning well because the local governments are not functioning. Most of the local governments are not functioning. So whatever that is happening at the local government level, it affects the common man in the streets, and it in turns radios back to the economy. Now, another angle where I disagree with him is that in the United States of America, for example, you have the federal government that is at Washington, D.C., then you have the states, and then you have the districts, and they all work hand in hand together. No one is interloping or overshadowing the other. They have their duties spelled out and they carry it effectively. Like I said before, you have counties in the United Kingdom. Even in Switzerland, you have canyons. Most of these countries don't even have states. What they have is the federal government and the local authorities, because they understand that development, economy, whatever good indices cannot go well without the input of the local government councils. Whatever, no matter the affiliation or the name it bears, but the impact of the local government councils can never be overemphasized because it helps to drive the development.
Just an observation that I want you to take away and verify outside this program. The Constitution of the United States of America recognizes the Federation as a relationship between Washington and the states. Counties are formed at the expense of the state in America. They are not recognized constitutionally as a third tier of government. In Switzerland, as you have alluded to, the federation is between the center and the cantons. There is nothing that defines a third tier at the level of the cantons as a result of what Asiwaju Bola Ahmed Tinubu proved when he was governor of Lagos. It should be incumbent on the states for effective governance to dynamically adjust local government structures with a view to making sure that people are effectively served. So we need to get those facts straight. Honorable Opayemi.
Yes, sir.
Your concluding remarks, given the fact that we are where we are now, and it does seem that Lagos, the father of modern Lagos, is the incumbent president. He was the governor who pioneered the machinations of creating extra constitutional entities for effective governance at the local government level. And yet, this judgment is coming during his era as the president, and Lagos is in the peculiar form or shape that it is in now. What say ye to a political like you functioning in an entity that is part of the 37 created, that is not totally recognized by the Constitution?
First and foremost, what I know about our president is if insecurity will start, it will start from the ward. The councillor of the ward would understand that, okay, so some guys are gathering there, and there can be a cry out. And that's why Lagos is working. Every month, we always have a police peace and security meeting at the local government level, where all the security households will be represented. And then we talk about where areas where there are possible security threat, and actions are taken immediately. But in local governments whereby they are locked, maybe once in every week, they come in and they just do what they want to do, they go. How do you expect that security will be effective there? And these are the things that this man understands. That if you want to talk, sorry, sir, before I finish, sir, if you want to talk about food insecurity, the local government can actually facilitate to see how agriculture can be successfully manifested in the nations. For example, if you give every local government chairman a mandate that look, you must have, each local government must be ready to have a farmland whereby they produce one or two things. You can imagine how food insecurity will be taken off. So what I'm trying to say is that, but Asiwaju Bola Ahmed Tinubu understands that local government is the main.
My brother, don't let's speak idealism. Reality is that in many of the metropolitan LCDAs and local government areas of Lagos, daily people are robbed on the streets. They have councillors in those streets. You know, people are robbed in traffic. And you don't even have the land. Let me give your colleagues the opportunity to wrap up.
So can you just, so that you see, if there are anybody that are robbed, the robbers most times don't get scot-free. Let me give you, there was the time during the NSAS riot, the guys who in my area went to cut away these properties in the.
I'm not talking about NSAS. I'm talking of normal days. Normal days.
The boys who carted away with the properties, I went to their houses to collect it and return it back to the police. What I'm trying to say is that we know the bad boys. We know ourselves. We are the major.
And then it's about time. Then it's about time. Councillors and chairmen got more effective, because I'm basically telling you now that we daily hear of reports of bad boys functioning seemingly at large on some of the arterial roads of Lagos, and they seem to be getting away with it, my brother. Reality in Mumbai,
yeah, because what you are saying, sir, what I'm saying, the insecurity is different from criminality. See, there's nowhere, even in America, as we think it should be, there are some criminalities. But see, insecurity is when you have, see, insecurity will eventually come when there's.
Let me let your colleague also have his closing shot.
Okay, sir.
Barrister Okolie, your closing shot, please.
I believe that the local government system has to be revitalized, has to be get to a stage where it will be working. The common man can feel it. That way, it's the only way that we can get Nigeria right on the right track. That is the way we can solve a lot of the issues bedeviling our country. I agree to an extent with Honorable Bayemi. Security is a local issue. The local government, if they are working, they will work well to ensure that security in that local government is optimized. Healthcare should be a local government issue, at least at the level of primary healthcare centers. Education is equally something that the local government should handle, because they know where the schools are, they know how the schools are.
Master Okolie, I have to wrap it up at this juncture. I understand you. I fully agree with you and Opayemi on the idealism of some of the points you are making. But you will agree with me, Barrister Okolie, that if security should be the primary responsibility of the local councillors and the chairmen and the state governors, we have a peculiar federation where all agencies bearing arms are answerable to one man only at the center. The governor's ability and the chairman and councillors like Opayemi's ability to deploy the powers of coercion to control criminality in their constituencies are limited. You see, that is why some of us want to believe that the pronouncement of the Supreme Court, the intendment is good, but the reality is that it is academic. Thank you, gentlemen, for gracing the show. We look forward to having you some other time. Time is far spent. Thank you.
Thank you very much. God bless you. Thank you.
I want to say thank you to you, members of the
Thank you
audience.
very much.
That's all for today. My name is Steve.
My name is Yemi Shodimu, the son of an Egba chief from Abeokuta, Ogun State, and a mother that hailed from Isalofi in Lagos Island. My early days were spent in the serene but beautiful city of Abeokuta. I experienced a community of people that cared for each other and elders that looked out for each other's children. You could not misbehave outside and believe that could be done with impunity. Someone was there to reprimand you, which of course was a better option. 2, you're being reported to your parents. Of course, you knew the consequences of that. This automatically kept us in check. I had the privilege of growing up in the palace in Ake with my late grandmother, Olori Adejoke Gbadebo, who was the wife of late Oba Adeshina Gbadebo, Alake of Egbaland. This exposed me to the way our people celebrated our culture and tradition, even while mingling with people from other religions, such as Christians and Muslims, without any acrimony or rancor. The dignity of labor was also inculcated in us quite early in life. Apart from the normal house chores which I mandatorily did, in spite of the presence of house helps, I hawked old newspapers after school so as to learn the importance of contributing something to the home economy. Abeokuta provided the right ambience for the arts to grow and prosper while creating the desired recreation for the people in a friendly environment. The cinema affair, that is free cinema screening of cowboy and Indian films, was a favorite pastime. There was also the ancient Centenary Hall that was home to most of the Nigeria's traveling theaters. My grandmother was a lover of live theater, so I had the privilege of seeing the Ogun Days, Ogunmola, Duro Ladipo, Baba Salah, Baba Miro, and a host of others live on stage. This later in life influenced my career path. The social celebrations, including family celebrations, could run late into the evening or night without any apprehension about safety. This also afforded me my early exposure to popular music. I haven't seen Ebenezer Obey, Yusuf Olatunji, Ayinla Omowura perform live. I got so sucked in. Much later in life, all I wanted to do after my national youth service was to become a backup singer in Ebenezer Obey's band. In all, life was good then. There was a quest to achieve things in life. Parents pushed us to work hard, but there was also contentment that discouraged greed and avarice. I believe we can get back on track if we collectively decide to bestow on the generations coming after us a sane, dignified, conducive society. Let us talk about a brighter future and not the good old days. I therefore join Shemori in this collective and bold attempt at changing the narrative and doing it right for a better future.
Hello and welcome, I'm Manuel Olububukun, and this is a news update. President Bola Ahmed Tinubu has urged Nigerians not to participate in the proposed August 4th to 10th, 2024 hardship protest due to the commencement of the student loan scheme, the 70,000 naira new minimum wage, and the establishment of the Consumer Credit Initiative. He stated that his government is reworking its social welfare scheme to reach vulnerable Nigerians at the grassroots level, providing allowances to the poor and vulnerable. The minimum wage has now been increased by more than 100%, and the Nigerian National Assembly passed the new Minimum Wage Act after Tinubu and the Nigerian workers agreed on the 70,000 naira minimum wage. The federal government has also begun disbursing funds to 110,000 successful beneficiaries of its 35 billion naira funded student loan scheme. Also, President Bola Tinubu has also dismissed concerns about manipulations by interest groups in Nigeria's ongoing economic reforms, stating that his campaign was self-sponsored and without strings. He emphasized the importance of a good conscience and a defense against corruption, emphasizing the future of Nigerians. Tinubu also emphasized the need to address the potential for protest fueled by anger and aid to degenerate into violence and set the country backwards. He emphasized the need to rework social welfare schemes, provide allowances to the poor and vulnerable, and also increase the minimum wage by over 100%. Traditional rulers called for calm over the planned nationwide protest against economic hardship, which is set to begin on August the 1st, 2024. However, President Bola Tinubu, alongside former President Muhammadu Buhari and governors, have expressed condolences for the death of Chief Emmanuel Iwuanyanwu, the President General of Ohanaeze Ndigbo Worldwide. Now, Iwuanyanwu, a businessman and politician, took office on April 30th, 2023, following the death of his predecessor, Professor George Obiazo. Now, President Tinubu expressed his condolences to the family, the Imo State government, friends and associates of the deceased, while the former President Buhari expressed his condolences to the Southeast. Governor Dapo Abiodun described his death as a profound loss to the nation. However, Abia State Governor Alex Oti has now expressed sadness over the death of Emmanuel Iwuanyanwu, the President General of Ohanaeze Ndigbo Worldwide. Oti praised him as a patriot and lover of his people. Eze Linus into Mbad, chairman of Abia State Council of Traditional Rulers, also expressed sadness over his death, stating that he was outspoken against the challenges facing Igbos in Nigeria and abroad. Also praised him for his efforts in capacity building, tackling unemployment among Igbo youth, creating jobs and providing educational opportunities. Mbad also noted that he unified the Igbos in industrialization, stating that the Igbo nation had suffered a significant loss. Moving on, Speaker of the House of Representatives, Right Honorable Tajuddin Abbas, has expressed alarm at the alarming statistics on crude oil theft, stating that between January and July 2024, the country lost an average of 437,000 barrels of crude oil per day due to theft, vandalism and other criminal activities. This equates to over $10 billion in losses. Abbas is in talks with security agencies to tackle the menace, while Akume and Nnamdi cite the Nigeria Extractive Industries Transparency Initiative's 2020 oil and gas report.
At the current price of oil, this translates to over $10 billion over this period of 7 months. I wonder how a government that loses about $10 billion in 7 months will be expected to meet up with its responsibilities for the citizens. So when the people cry on the streets, it's because they have lost hope in the oil and gas sector. There is no magic this government can do without being energized by the core source of our revenue, which is the oil and gas sector, from where it is supposed to meet the obligations of his administration. No magic at all. So for those who are on the streets waiting for the President of the Federal Republic of Nigeria to do magic, he cannot do it from his pocket. He will do it from the national pocket. And the national pocket is bleeding. $10 billion, 7 months.
The government has invested considerable resources in combating this menace. Since 2020, expenditure aimed at addressing crude oil theft and securing our oil infrastructure has exceeded $1.5 billion. These funds have been allocated towards enhancing surveillance capabilities, securing pipelines, and increasing the presence of law enforcement agencies in critical oil-producing areas. Thus, the hearing marks a pivotal step in our concerted efforts to confront this issue head-on.
Honorable Al-Hassan Dogwal, chairman of the Special Committee on Crude Oil Theft and Losses, has identified inadequate firepower and weapons of engagement as they calls for vital losses, emphasizing the need for collective Nigerian efforts.
Our discussions with stakeholders today and those we have engaged before have revealed that oil theft is not only a significant revenue loss for the country, but also a threat to national security and regional stability. The theft is categorized into onshore losses involving sabotage of pipelines and installations for local markets, and offshore losses perpetrated by organized criminal syndicates for international buyers. Addressing this issue requires a multifaceted approach, including effective prosecution and punishment of perpetrators, better synergy amongst trigger agencies, maritime safety review, financial responsibility, and development of advanced technology.
This thing we are talking about is not rocket science. The people who are sabotaging this in this space are known. They are known by names, they are known by companies, they are known by account details. Let us not pretend to this matter. If we pretend to this matter, we may never solve the problem. I say collaborate with Nigerian Department of State Security Service. You will have every information, and I believe there's every information available for us to work to solve this problem and to stop this menace. We have to do it.
Last year, the Speaker, Tajin Abbas, formed a special committee to investigate Nigeria's oil theft and losses in the oil and gas sector. Now, moving on in these updates, the Department of State Services has issued a stern warning against the planned nationwide protest in the country. In our press statement, the agency's Director of Public Relations and Strategic Communications, Dr. Peter Ifunaya, revealed that they have already identified the sponsors of the proposed demonstration and have cautioned them not to proceed as it would not be in Nigeria's best interest. The security outfit claimed to have intelligence suggesting the protest could be hijacked by hoodlums. The statement further alleged that the organizers' true objective is to incite a regime change, particularly at the federal level. And now we move on to other parts of Africa. South Africa's Democratic Alliance, DA, has taken the African National Congress, ANC, to court over a pre-election speech given by President Cyril Ramaphosa. The DA argues that the speech was used for election campaigning and amounted to an abuse of office. The ANC responded by calling the DA's legal action frivolous and is unwarranted, and stating that Ramaphosa was following the constitution when he made the speech. The which is one of the 7 parties Ramaphosa's cabinet, is one of the 7 parties represented by Ramaphosa's cabinet. The coalition, referred to as a government of national unity, created a new political landscape for South Africa after the end of apartheid. In South Africa, former U.S. President Barack Obama and his wife Michelle have endorsed Kamala Harris' bid for the presidency. In a private phone call, Obama expressed gratitude for the endorsement and their long friendship. Obama and Michelle praised Harris for her potential as a fantastic president and expressed their full support. Obama, the first U.S. black president, remains a popular figure in the Democratic Party even after over a decade since his last election. Harris plans to name a running mate by August the 7th, as former President Donald J. Trump's advisors have not committed to another debate, as the Democrats have changed candidates from President Biden to Vice President Harris. The endorsement comes as the Democrats have changed candidates from President Biden to the Vice President Harris. And straight away to business, the Nigeria Electricity Regulatory Commission (NERC) has reported that 23 workers lost their lives in 55 accidents in the first quarter of 2024. The report also revealed that 31 others sustained injuries in the 55 accidents. The major causes of casualties were wire snaps, illegal access, vandalism, unsafe act conditions, and falls from height. Eco Discus, Just Discus, and About Power were the licenses with the highest number of casualties. Now, Discus accounted for 96.3% of casualties recorded in 2024, the first quarter. Continuing our trend observed in previous quarters, the report suggests a lack of safety procedures in the Nigerian electricity supply industry, as distribution segment is the biggest contributor to safety issues. And on to entertainment news, Burna Boy is bringing an African Giant album to life. The Grammy-winning superstar is celebrating the 5th anniversary of his iconic album with a special concert on Friday, July the 26th. YouTube Music Night will live stream a special performance, and fans worldwide can now tune in to Burna Boy's YouTube channel for this exclusive intimate event. As I said, one shouldn't miss a chance to see one of Africa's biggest stars perform live. Lastly, into sport news, Nigeria Super Falcons made their long-awaited return to Olympic football after a 16-year absence. Both their Paris 2024 campaign got off to a disappointing start with a 1-0 loss to Brazil in the opening match. The game's decisive moments came in the first half when Gabriela Nunes da Silva unleashed a ferocious strike that proved to be the only goal of the contest. A positive start by Randy Waldrum, women, which saw Chiwendu Iezo miss Nigeria's best chance of the game. The Super Falcons played second fiddle all through the counter after plenty of attacking intent. Nigeria had 3 big chances in quick succession, one of which was led by Rashidat Ajibade, I beg your pardon, Nigeria's best player, beating our marker before crossing for Iezo, whose header was saved by Brazil's goalkeeper. This defeat marks the challenging start for Randy Waldrum's side, who find themselves in our formidable Group C alongside reigning world champions Spain and Asian powerhouse Japan. And that's the much can take on the news updates. For more stories, please follow us on Facebook, X and Instagram, and do subscribe to our YouTube channel, Plosive Africa and Plosive Africa Lifestyle. You can also view us from Limex on Limex.tv and Glow TV apps anywhere in the world. I am Emmanuel Olubobokun. Many thanks for watching.
It is engagement we need to have.
Those who suffer miscarriages are never taken into account.
Members of the National Assembly are also influence peddlers.
You are sitting on Nigerians' money.
From the Babin, I pay my rent. From the Babin, I send my children to school.
A consultative engagement.
No any tangible notification before they ban us.
It's one thing for people to be at your back and the heat of the moment, and another thing for them to still be with you when push comes to shove.
It's been an unusual year for us all. We've been forced to learn to adapt to the changes that COVID-19 has brought upon us. However the cards may have been dealt to us this year, we have remained resilient. The Afrima Fashion Show stems from the Afrima Award Show, which is the biggest African award show in the diaspora. Every year, we have showcased designers and we bring together people from all over the world. This year, the Afrima Runway is graced by the top 3 African designers who have welcomed the challenge of doing a virtual runway show without any physical audience. Don Murphy, Ese Ezanabo, and lastly, Sai Sanko. Let the show begin.
guys, my name is Sai Sankar and I am a luxury resort wear designer, and I make the most amazing and fabulous kaftans and everything that you desire for traveling. I just really love the way women carried themselves back then, you know, the Marilyn Monroes, you know. It was sexy, but there was still glamour to it, you know, and elegance and sophistication. And I feel that's what my designs are about, you know. I've also been inspired just by my continent, the continent of Africa. Growing up in Sierra Leone, it's just this beautiful, bustling colors, you know, it's so vibrant, the marketplaces, you know, Christmas, it's just, everything about it is just so energetic and it's so powerful and colorful, and it just makes me really happy. And so no matter what collection I do, it always goes back to that. And so that's why you see all this colorful prints and all these bold colors, you know. I feel women wearing it, it just makes them so extremely happy, you know, and they look absolutely gorgeous in it too.
My name is S.A. Grimbowski, and I am the designer and owner for S.A. Azinabor Atelier. My source of inspiration for my designs, number one, to be honest, comes from God, because I go to sleep literally and dream about my designs. And that only has to be from God. So I always give credit to Him for that. And of course, my culture is very influenced in my design. I've been designing since I was 8 years old. Even before that, my mom would tell me wild stories of me taking her fabrics and cutting them into pieces and making a dress or a skirt or pants out of her expensive African materials that she had in our home back in Nigeria when I was growing up. And I draw a lot of inspirations from where I've been, and I just try to tie them into modern design mixed with vintage designs, mixed with traditional looks, and just tie it all together in a bowl to create a true S.A. Azinabor couture piece.
Hello, my name is Daniel Mofo. I'm the founder and designer of Don Murphy, a men's luxury custom suit clothing in Dallas, Texas. Fashion is color. In the past, men were all very scared of, the colors. They were used to the blacks, the grays. But now, if you look at fashion, men wear almost bolder colors than women, You see men in red suits, men in yellow suits, men in pink suits. So for me, fashion is color.
is expressive. So when I just wake up and have an idea and I create something out of that idea, it's God showing off. So that's what it is for me.
I've always been a little bit shy, but when it comes to fashion, I will wear anything and I will wear it with confidence. And so for me, that is a way of expressing myself, you know? And I feel it also is the same thing for a lot of women.
African for me means community. It means living together. If you look at Africans, they're all talking about the different countries in Africa, you know, it's all about our community. So for me, Africa means community, it means living together.
Hello and welcome to the Literary Bar, a special hangout for books, authors, and readers. Here, we serve up a combination of pleasure and fun as contained in prose and poetry. So grab yourself a cup of tea, a glass of wine or two, and let's get comfortable reading. In the immortal words of C.S. Lewis, you can never have a cup of tea too big or a book too long to satisfy me. So let's talk books. A good book is a tapestry of ideas, inspiration, sweat, and dedication, woven together to bring you stories that'll make you laugh, think, wonder, and even cry. Books are filled with fantasies, discoveries, history, science, philosophy, and politics. Books have preserved our faith and have provided a moral compass for people for thousands of years, like your Bible, the Quran, the Bhagavad Gita. Fundamentally, books are filled with our stories collectively and individually, serving as silent curators for mankind. Have you heard the expression, readers are leaders? Let me rephrase this. The thinking, that's the reading minority, rule over the unthinking majority, because a lot of people cannot be bothered with reading. The more words you know, the richer your life will be, because words add color to your expressions and experiences. Lack of appropriate words to describe a situation leads to breakdown in communication, which ultimately leads to conflict. People use between 2,000 and 10,000 words in their lifetime out of over 170,000 words used in English language. The amount of words you use is reflective of your reading habits or lack of it. Shakespeare used about 24,000 words in his lifetime, inventing about 5,000 of those words, such as thought-provoking, zany, eventful, amazement. So if you don't have the words, you can create your own so long as it makes meaning. So you've guessed, I'm a bibliophile, meaning I'm a lover of books. So I can wax lyrical about my love for books for a long time. But the best part about loving books is having someone like you to share them with. So it's time to share my book pick and poetry for the program. With me here, I have How to Be a Nigerian by Peter Nahoro, also called Peter Pan. How to Be a Nigerian by Peter Nahoro is one of my favorite books of all times. If this book was a mirror, Nigerians will see their true reflection in it. It's a beautifully written piece of satire that pokes fun at our idiosyncrasies as Nigerians. Written in 1966, it still captures the essence of what it means to be a Nigerian. Peter Nahoro, aka Peter Pan, wrote the stories in this book on a whim and didn't think of publishing it until a fellow journalist and expatriate encouraged him to publish it. And it has been an amazing success since it was published. Let me share some excerpts from this brilliant masterpiece. I'd like to point out that Peter Nahoro passed away last year, 2023. But it's also important to know that authors do not die because the books that they've written live on with us. So I'll just share a few. There are 21 topics in this book. It's very short and is an easy read. This copy I'm holding was published by Mosuro Books in Ibadan. Mosuro Publishers in Ibadan. And it was originally written in 1966, like I said, been published by a few people, but this copy is from Mosuro. And it was sent to me by my very good friend in Ibadan, Niyi. So you see why I chose this book, because as a Nigerian, it tells me who I am or who a Nigerian should be by a fellow Nigerian. And he says in his preamble, I did not set out to write a book when I began putting notes down about the Nigerian. It just struck me that one day, that with all the political acrimony that gripped the country, and in spite of the diversity of the country, a personality that was distinctly Nigerian had emerged, but few Nigerians realized it. So in talking about this book, you never know how much of a Nigerian you are until you're amongst foreigners, and then they start to sound a bit different, but you recognize yourself in your fellow Nigerian, in the way we carry on and in the way we do things. The first question he asked is, who are the Nigerians? Let me start by telling you about myself as a Nigerian. Everything about me is 100% Nigerian. I'm born, bred, and educated in Nigeria. I've received my education from the north, the east, the west, and the south. So everything about me, as you're saying, has no real foreign influence. It's all about Nigerians. But who are we generally? Nigerians are loud, and he mentions that portion in this book. Nigerians are loud. You will see us, you will hear us from where you are. You can smell us even in the gastronomic offerings to the world. Our ingredients announce to everybody that this must be Nigerian food. And because we're so full of life and very effervescent, you will feel us everywhere that we are. Our music is all over the place. So, like I said, I'll read you some excerpts from this very charming book. It's simply written, and so it is easy for anyone to pick up, and it's such a quick read. Way back in 1966, he mentioned our Asoebi culture when he was talking about the things we have to go through in doing some of our societal works, be it a wedding or be it a funeral, how we are as Nigerians. So let me quickly get to the part of the Nigerian in the mourning game in Nigeria. When a death occurs in Nigeria, the mourning that follows is usually a game of conventional grief played between the bereaved and the sympathizers. With the dead laid to rest, the social event now begins proper. The widow picks a special print of cloth with her, which her relatives and friends purchase from her. This uniform is called Asoebi, sewn to the exact style by more than 300 mourners or attendees, which will be worn on the night or the day of the event. And this is a culture that has permeated all through Nigeria till date. The Asoebi culture has remained with us, and it is still very, very loud. He talks about the art of grumbling. He says the Nigerians are a nation of good grumblers. Nobody can capture the way Nigerians like to moan. The right to moan is taken quite seriously, and even your employer who interrupts your grumble has committed an offense worse than the original object of discontent. Right now, when we're talking about the grievance between labor and the people paying them, we can see that, thank God, it's been resolved, but you can't mention anything pertaining to emoluments without incurring the wrath of the Nigerians. Oh, how things are expensive, how things are not expensive. This is a culture that has remained with us ever since. So when this book was being written, he didn't realize that it was going to take us to this, but now we have even perfected the art more than, my brother, you don't even know, my money doesn't take me home, and things like that. We just continue to grumble without actually trying to see how we can make a difference. The art of grumbling itself is something that is distinctly Nigerian and has remained with us. Another part of it is where he talks about noise, which I mentioned a little bit earlier. He said, in the beginning, God created the universe. Then he created the moon, the stars, and the wild beasts of the forest. On the sixth day, he created Nigerians, and there was peace. But on the seventh day, while God rested, the Nigerian invented noise. How will Nigeria be? No noise is quite like the Nigerian noise. Even when we have to salute each other, we say that with so much noise. Our generators have become part of our existence. They say the average Nigerian is deaf because he has lived and is merged with noise. We always have to raise our voices decibels higher than other people because we assume that the next person cannot hear us. We have been grown in noise. You go to a party, if the loudspeaker is not placed next to you, nobody feels that the music has started. And you see people, no matter how loud it is at a party, they're on their phone making calls, and you're wondering, how can you hear yourself? And then how do you think the person on the other end of the phone can also hear you and carry on? But another interesting part of our noise making is how we greet each other. Every day you hear this, depending on how many people you meet. And this is how we tend to salute ourselves, with a lot of noise. How are your family? Fine. Your father? Fine. The wife? Fine. The kids? Fine. Long time. Yes, so welcome. Thank you. How are you? Fine. God be praised. This is a greeting that goes on every day with a lot of sound. Maybe because we were designed with noise, or when God rested, as it said, we invented noise. So it's become something uniquely Nigerian in terms of our salutation. So I could go on and pick different parts of this book for you to read. It's not possible for you to not recognize yourself in how to be a Nigerian. Any chapter you pick at all is going to get you to laugh in such a way that you can actually pause. After laughing at yourself, this book will encourage you to just step back and say, really, if we're this bad, is there a way we can improve? Well, like I said, I can't tell you too much about this book because it's something you have to go pick up. I must point out that there is even a part 2 of this book called The Complete Nigerian. Okay, let me take you on this particular page that pays homage to Lagos State. So it says that there is a popular Nigerian saying that to go to Lagos from your village is no difficulty. It is to return that is war. But you can never become a true Nigerian until you have passed through the grill, come to Lagos, or at least aspire to come to Lagos. The streets of Lagos are paved with gold. Therefore, the economic structure of the city is cleverly divided into 2 categories: those who own the mines and those who work the mines. I don't want to tell you everything that's in this book, so I want to encourage you to go and get it. But I will pay homage to Lagos State in this very beautiful chapter. It says there's a popular Nigerian saying that to go to Lagos from your village is no difficulty. It is to return that is war. But you have never become a true Nigerian until you have passed through the grill, come to Lagos, or at the very least, aspire to come to Lagos. Like David Whittington's London, the streets of Lagos are paved with solid gold. Therefore, the economic structure of the city is clearly divided into two categories: those who own the mines and those who work the mines all their lives. So, with this, I'll take a quick break, and when we return, we'll move on to the next segment. Welcome back to the Literary Bar. It's time for poetry. In the book How to Be a Nigerian, our old new anthem was quoted and inspired me to talk about the national anthem and give my take on it. So let me recite the national anthem. Nigeria, we hail thee. Peace and plenty. Nigeria, may be blessed. Every time I hear it rendered by school children on the assembly ground or at official events, I pause and listen, and certain keywords keep jumping at me. And these words are tribe, motherland, our flag, and brotherhood. A tribe typically describes a nation, a group of people that have common interests, that share the same languages and the same culture. Every time I hear it rendered by school children on the assembly ground at official events, I pause and listen, and certain keywords keep jumping at me. Tribe, and that is a traditional social group sharing ethnicity, language, history, and a nation. Some people assume that tribe connotes a group of preliterate people that are just running helter-skelter. It doesn't really matter. A tribe is just people who share certain things in common. Then, motherland, the country of your birth, where you are nurtured and where you live, the origin. I think about motherland as a place where that you get life from, the source of your existence. The thing that gives us hope is a land that we own and which is entrusted to us by God, the creator of the universe. So when you think of motherland, you think of the land that your mother has given you. Everybody thinks of their mother as the most important, if not one of the most important persons in their lives. So I'm asking my fellow Nigerians, how are we treating our motherland? How do we take care of the land that's been bequeathed, that's been given to us by our mother? If your mother is precious to you, why are we killing ourselves? Why are we aiding and abetting corruption in such a way that the land that we're given has been desecrated by the violence, the insurgents? We cannot nurture this land with blood. We can only nurture it with the things we do that is proper. When we talk about our environment, what are you doing? The rains are here. The flood is everywhere. Why? Because we're blocking the drainage. We're dropping things where we're not supposed to do it. Is this a way we honor mother? So if our mothers are most important to us, that means the earth that we're given is also one of the most important things we'll ever have. The brotherhood is a belief in unity and cooperation amongst men. So I'm asking our politicians, how are you treating your brothers in your neighborhood? Brother, how is your hood? That is what I'm asking you. How are you treating your fellow man? That is a brotherhood, the unity that this anthem signifies. So I'm asking you, politician, businessman, how is your hood? How are you taking care of your brothers? And then our flag. A flag is a symbol that unites a group of people and serves as part of the national identity. So the flag that we're given that says green, white, green, a land of peace, a land of unity, and a land of plenty. It is how we take care of our environment that will make our land fertile. So we need to honor this land that we have been, that we've been given, that this flag signifies. So I am urging everybody to honor the flag, this green, white, green that we have. When we have peace, we will have plenty to eat. The trouble we have today is that insurgents have taken over the land. And so we do not have the peace to make up, to enjoy the fertile land that we have been given by God, which our flag signifies. The peace and fertility, food and peace. It goes hand in hand. Your life is your story. Until I come your way next time, make your life a great story. That's it on Literary Bar. For new episodes, please follow us on Facebook, X, and Instagram. And do subscribe to our YouTube channel at Plus TV Africa and Plus TV Africa Lifestyle. You can also view us from Limex on Limex TV and Glow TV apps anywhere in the world. I'm Chinedu. Many thanks.
I will take you through this amazingness today.
Welcome to Plus Trending. I am Buki November, your host, saying thank you for joining us on today's episode.
Welcome back. It's tea time on Plus TV Africa.
Practice makes perfect. I'm not perfect yet, but I'm a lot better than I used to be.
He's a king. He's entitled to marry 100 if he wants to.
Fundamentally, hustle culture is about work dominating your time in such an unnatural way that we have no time to live our lives. The demanding nature of our world now, where people have to pay multiple bills, take care of family, has led to the need to make more money to meet those needs. Coupled with the constantly increasing cost of living and inflation, people can't stop working. The weekends are no longer spent relaxing and spending time with family, but catching up on work that couldn't be completed during the week or doing other side hustles that can provide that extra money to cover some bills. Now, people log in long hours and take on side hustles for many reasons. Eloho, a 28-year-old woman, has to take on multiple jobs of being an editor by day, an English language tutor by night, and an invigilator on the weekends.
The cost of living has really increased. Like, the inflation is at an all-time high. And salaries are not increasing that much. Even if they are, a friend of mine calculated it for me and said, even if you're earning like 100% more, now your expenses are not like 100% more. For example, I moved houses twice in the last 3 years, and now the rent I'm paying right now is like 200% of what I started with on this same salary. So I say my salary is for 3 different things. So like the day job is for living expenses. Electricity tariff has increased twice. There's water bill, there's light bill, there's so many things to consider. Then my 9th job is for skincare. Your skin starts caring when you take care of it. So and skincare is now more expensive, just keeps getting more expensive. So like things that make me happy, that's what one of my income streams goes to, specifically dedicated to.
For me,